fish. Good morning, fish.
Suffice to say, the lady with the fish was here really
Yeah.
early this morning. Lynn's gonna make me up a batch of ginger tea.
Yeah,
I have picked up something.
yeah.
Okay, let's give you a walkthrough so I can stay away from these guys a little bit today. Although I sort of have. My projects are kind of in the bunkhouse while the guys are working. So we talked at quite good length yesterday about making sure that they put wire in this conduit before we do that. So I'm going to have to get after them because they've already laid the conduit in here and they didn't push the wires in there. And I'm not confident that even over this short little run that he can get through this 90. Anyway, it's easy. You know, we can pull it up, put the wires in and be done with it, but I don't want the bricklayers getting in here and then sealing it all up. That would screw everything up. So you can start to get a sense of the kitchen here. It's not going to be overly large, guys. And again, here we will have a island coming out. We've got our other window. God, you guys. That's how you end up taking a good square and bending it. Okay, now the other thing is on this course, the guys have to stop here. We have to deal with this water first. We need to do a T and kick off and put in the connection for the toilet. We've got our electrical for the living room in place now. So if I'm sitting over on this side, we have an outlet there. Just in case we ever want to put a TV there, easy. Because you never know. Somebody may want to put a bedroom in the back there where I call it the TV room. The Daggett is looking wonderful today. Okay, over here, the guys are primed in for the window to go here, another 60. And as you can tell, we're going to have pretty good airflow in the house, I think, with all these windows. This has all now been welded in, so it's tightening up over here. There's going to be an 80 window. Might help if I wasn't zoomed. There's going to be an 80 window here, and then roughly a 60 gap, another 80, and then a 30. So that's what we've got going on here. And the reason for that, guys, it's not going to be obvious on the camera. Again, this is, you know, from a Western perspective, a pretty minimalist house. But we do have room to move the bed over if we wanted to, because the cabinetry is only going to come over, you know, one full block roughly. And then, you know, we've got roughly 4 to 5 feet before that plug. So we could slide things down. We could have a chair over in this corner. You know, the thing is, you don't have to have a big house. You just have to have it laid out in such a manner that you can take advantage of, you know, having places where you can be by yourself. The guys have been doing the pillar. We've got drains in temporarily here. We've got to get another pipe connected to that so that it gets past, because there's a hollow down here, guys, and the water wants to set there. So we've got to get it just past. And how'd they do on the other side? They get them in here. I see 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so they're mocked up in there. That's good enough. And so to note on the 45, guys, I think somebody made a good comment that when you do a 90, you're just setting yourself up for leaves and everything sitting in your downspouts. And then, of course, further restricting the water flow. The 45s basically mean that everything's just going to drop to the bottom. So, and yes, we will be putting in some cleanouts on these runs so that we can flush that if necessary. Okay, they've got a little bit left to do on this down here. Lynn is going to start figuring out how she wants her soil in here because she would like a garden close to the house with things like lemongrass to keep the mosquitoes down and oregano, you know, those things that she might want to grab for cooking, that type of stuff. So, good morning, Cedra. Boy, if you're not pregnant, you're getting fat. There's been an interesting shift in the construction from last year to this year, guys. It's been quite remarkable. I'm avoiding the noise, so I'm going to speak up here. But getting these guys to slow down, every once in a while you have to remind them that, no, we don't correct errors in the finishing layer. This is setting up for the finishing layer, which is a skim coat, ultra fine, thin, sanded skim coat, and then the putty layer after that. Because there is minor imperfections, but these walls are, oh, they're nice, guys. They're so nice. But I think it's becoming more and more apparent here that we only really want to test two guys on this superfine skim coat sanded. We want to test them, and so we'll probably test on parts of the inside of the garage and see how they can do. If they can't, then, you know, some of this other work they can continue on with, you know, the hammer guys. And in this case, the concrete guys with the, what's the word I want to use? Everything gets fixed in the finishing layers. No, we don't do that here. So anyway, I think it's becoming more and more clear that we're going to have to move on from this crew when it comes to our finishing layers. We know that for the tiles. Now I'm told that Victor is a good tiler, so we might test him out in a spot, maybe over top of the septic tank. This is god-awful looking, guys. We may just do that here with some very basic tiles and see how he does with the grouting. You know, keeping the spacing all nice and even. Okay, because of all the noise, I'm going to give you another walkthrough without audio. Yeah, the videos are starting to get a little short, aren't they? But apologies, that's just how it's got to be. This old carcass is very involved in this build, this part of it. This is not the bang layer, as I'm telling the guys. You know, this isn't how you fix things after you fix them. As a matter of fact, there is no fixing. You just do it right the first time. So that's the way this product has to be. And we just had to review again with the videos to remind the guys how, not soupy, but stew, the consistency of this adhesive is. It's not mortar mix. You don't want it that thick. It's got to be thinner. It's got to have enough water for it to penetrate up and down in these blocks. And one of the fellows was starting to get a little bit thick on one layer, and I quickly just yanked it all off, and I said, look. Aye, sorry, sir. Scrape it all down,
put it back on, thinner layer. Okay, we did make a mistake, as you saw in the video there. Michael is cutting in two three-way switch, not three-way, a gang of three and another gang of three. He's cutting that in because we forgot to use the one that we pre-made. The one we put in there was supposed to be above the panel. Go figure. Anyway, we've dry foot some windows for the bedroom, and very hands-on, guys. Very hands-on. As you're seeing now, there's a little bit more rebar involved because we're trying to tie these, how do I want to call them, floating walls. Okay, there's no posts or anything, and so we're doing a little bit of tying with rebar. I'm told it's not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Lynn is hard at the paperwork here. She's trying to tighten up some of our expenses. Initially we were saying things like hotel has got to be part of the build, but we're trying to make sure that we have construction is construction. Yeah. And then there's all the side monies that required to, do a build like this when you don't have a residence. So fortunately, we were able to move into the garage, and that solved that problem. Okay, so Lynn and I are off to see another piece of property today, another beachfront, but it's going to be on the east-facing shore of Cebu Island. Later, Gators.
Later.